So we are on to our last speaker, which is Dayan Halim from the Center of Environmental Rights. Dan is a researcher at CER for corporate accountability, and he's going to speak to us about how we can get involved in the AGM. Thank you, Dayan.
Thanks, Sherelee. I hope you can hear me well. So I'll just take a step back and just speak about what AGMs are. So annual general meetings are legally required meetings between directors and shareholders under the Companies Act that apply to public companies, so companies that are listed on the stock exchange who must report back to their shareholders. So the Companies Act says that the business of an AGM includes any matters that are related to shareholders with or without advance notice to the company. So that means that at these meetings, shareholders are able to hold a board of directors to account by raising issues and asking questions to the board. So what does that mean for civil society? It means that this could also be an opportunity for us to hold these companies to account and to demand answers to questions that these companies usually ignore. So if you could think of it as a way to draw the attention of shareholders to the issues as well, since many of the shareholders are going to be in the AGM at the time. And it also allows us, it's an opportunity to raise these issues in forums that are monitored by the media. So as we're engaging with the board of directors, the media is watching and we're able to address these issues in a sort of public forum. As shareholders, it's possible for us to pose resolutions that other shareholders are required to vote on. This is such as the resolution that Robin's just spoken about from Just Share. In this way, we're able to force the company and their shareholders to sort of pin their flags to the mast and indicate where they stand on particular issues. So in general, AGMs can be a really useful advocacy tool. In how to participate, I think we should clarify that AGMs are not necessarily open public events, right? They're intended for shareholders, and so only shareholders really get to interact with the board. At the AGM, guests are often permitted, which is important for allowing media to attend as well. But attending as a guest does not provide the same sorts of rights as attendance as a shareholder. So that means that people that want to be able to engage with the board or ask questions have to purchase shares in the company, and they need to register to attend. So this poses a sort of barrier that can exclude shareholders or exclude people from participating as shareholders. And of course, the process itself is subject to sort of manipulation and hurdles that can make it more or less difficult for people to attend. So, I mean, this for us is one of the reasons we believe that best practice should be to live stream these events or to at least post recording of the AGMs online so that the public can view the proceedings. A second potential issue, especially in online AGMs that have been happening particularly this year because of COVID-19 and lockdown conditions, is the manner in which questions are monitored or censored during the proceedings. So under the law, the Companies Act requires that all persons participating in the meeting must be able to communicate concurrently with each other without an intermediary and to participate reasonably effectively in the meeting. But despite that, it seems that this year Sasol won't be allowing verbal questions at the AGM, and all questions must be posed in a chat box. And then these questions are moderated. So it can make it quite difficult to get questions across in the manner that we intend, and the facts that we include in these questions, which might be contrary to the interest of the company, of course, may be censored. So this forces us to be concise with the AGM, but it also means that we have to take these questions outside of the AGM and into the media where these issues can be properly ventilated in the public eye. So this year, of course, we will be attending the AGM and we will be posing questions to the board. At this point, there are 12 organizations that have been involved, and we work in various aspects of the AGM, including protest action, advocacy and communications, and participating on the day virtually. Today, it would be impossible to buy a new share because the cutoff date for purchasing shares is already passed. So you would not be able to participate by buying a new share, but there are other ways to participate in the AGM. The first is, if it's possible, if you'd like to ask questions to the board directly, it may be possible to find somebody with a proxy. but you can attend the AGM as a guest, where you're able to view the proceedings and to comment, outside of the proceedings. To join as a guest, you just need to send an email to the share registrar, which is Link Marketing Services. I'll post that email address shortly into the chat. But more importantly, if you have any questions and are unable to attend or unable to even participate as a guest, you could send those questions through to us. I'll post my email address into the chat as well, and we can pose those questions to the board on your behalf. So that's some of the information on how to attend and where we're at in the proceedings. I hope you guys have some questions for me as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, yes, so we do have some questions. We have a comment or question from David LePage. Daniel's findings are absolutely scandalous. We could trash Sasol's already sketchy reputation very quickly if these things were more widely known. But these findings need references and sourcing to be persuasive. Daniel, do you want to comment on that?
Sorry, I'm just moving place. My neighbor's starting to do some work and I have to go to that area. Can you just repeat the last bit, please? It's about the
findings need references and sourcing to be persuasive.
Well, there is the audit that found, so if you want, there is data, that's not an issue. If you want the references, there's a study by SEEP, Centro Pública, that has a lot of this data confirmed. The audit was a government audit on the, just me to open this up. Yeah, so the audit on the Sasol's use or manipulation of what they consider to be recoverable costs. It's also a study, and it's also it was in 2019, so it's pretty recent. So all of those are references, and are references from either research group, and we can send it out. Unfortunately, the PowerPoint didn't work, but I can send you all the references. All those numbers are validated, and not only that, some of it was, Sasol did reply, for example, to the SEEP report. And in their reply, they did not address some of these issues, some of these criticisms from this report, which means that they have no answers to it. For example, the pricing. It is very well known that the pricing is way below market value, and they're selling it to themselves at a much lower rate, and therefore Mozambique is having effect. So this is well known. This is something that's been debated since, like, when these studies started coming. There's also the ETI, the Transparency Initiative that Mozambique has signed up to, and the last report also highlights issues. So this is not my data. This is data from reports and studies that are available, and I can send it out to everyone with no problem.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Okay, we had a question by Arthur, which was answered by Kriya, which the question was, which were the 6 institutional shareholders that motioned to the climate risk resolutions? Robin, I don't know if you want to add anything more on that.
I didn't see the answer, but if it's been answered, then great.
Yeah, so Kriya put the 6 institutions, which is Old Mutual, Sanlam, ABAX, Aon Investment, and Mergence Investment.
Okay. Yeah, nothing more to say about that.
Okay, cool. There's another question for Robin from Arthur. Do you handle the fact that the Paris Agreement is itself ambiguously worded, does not explicitly mention coal, oil, or natural gas in any way, and on global levels, NDCs proposed by countries are not enough to meet the 1.5 degrees goal?
Yeah, I tried to answer a bit of that. I mean, the second part of the question is, of course, well, one of the ways that we as activists have to try and handle that fact is to push for stronger NDCs, but also realizing that political will alone is clearly not enough to tackle the climate crisis. So that's where emission-intensive companies like Sasol have to up their game, essentially.
Thank you, Robin. I see, Diane, you did answer David's question with regards to the AGM. Is there anything more you want to add to that? Diane, you're on mute.
No, it's just locating the mute button. Can you just repeat David's question for me?
Okay, I can just see it. Not all shareholders get to interact. I hold one share, which is close to worthless these days. My attempts to communicate with Sasol's investor offers have never drawn a response.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you only need one share to interact. So having one share is enough. There are strict deadlines that do apply to the process, and this is what I was saying. It can be quite difficult to register. If you have a share already, it's just a matter of getting in touch with your broker and asking for a letter of representation, and then forwarding that on to Sasol to the email address I just posted into the chat. And they will send out registration details by Thursday afternoon. So it is still possible to register until the end of the day on Thursday.
Okay. Thank you, Diane. I have a question for Des from Jeff. Ahead of the AGM on Friday, is SETI aiming to go to the press to attract attention of the general public to the problems at Sasol and the poor climate change management? Des, just unmute yourself.
Yeah. Jeff, I think we'll put out a press statement regarding Sasol's AGM. I think that's what we should do collectively, if everybody agrees, or we as SETI could put out one. I think that would be the best way. And just highlight all the atrocities and where what Sasol has done. And bring to bear that what we are seeking from the shareholders. We're seeking real change, a move away, a just transition, a move away from fossil fuel completely. I think it will be the best way. We'll write out the press statement, share it with some of the groups if they want to, and if it's a joint effort, then that's fine. We just decide what we want to include in it so that everybody is on the same page. So I think if we need to send it out at least a day or two before the AGM and not wait for the AGM. By tomorrow, we should be able to work on a press release. But if the group here decides that we send it out as a joint effort with everyone on board, and I'm happy for that as well.
Okay, thank you, Des. Richard has a question, but I think it's a question for the AGM. Sasol could be asked whether they recognize that for a switch from coal to gas as feedback to have any prospect of helping align with the Paris Agreement as it has to happen. So I don't know if anyone wants to answer that, or that's a question for the AGM. So Diane, maybe you can note that down. And Alex is adding to Richard's question, rather than a switch to fossil gas as a feedstock, why is Sasol not embracing renewable hydrogen as a feedstock? So hopefully, Diane, you can save all this chat and take note of the question. Okay.
Really, can I just quickly jump in?
Yeah, sure.
There was a question, I'm just seeing who it was, who asked, it was a question about if any, it was from David, it was actually to me, but I thought it was a really interesting question, which is asking if anybody manages a consolidated dossier that outlines all the incidences that we've all been describing. And Kobe said about creating one and maybe producing something like an annual alternative Sasol annual report that we can launch at the AGMs. David, I hope you don't, no, you send that to everyone as well. So I was going to say, I hope you don't mind that. Anyways, the point is we haven't, but if you want to I mean, start, like initiate something like that, that would be really great. And maybe you could, Diane's put at the bottom the list of the mailing list for the Sasol AGM organizations that have been working together. So you're welcome to send an email to all of us, and maybe we can have a further conversation about that. That would be great.
I can say something about that. It's Robin.
Sure.
I think CER's, was it first? CER's full disclosure report would be a good starting place for that. It was about the truth of the sort of so-called green companies on the JSE. And of course, the National Environmental Compliance and Enforcement Report from the Department of Environmental Affairs is an annual report that sets out the environmental and compliance action at various facilities, and every year Sasol is on there. So that's also a good source of government verified data about its non-compliance with the law.
Thank you, Robin. I think we have reached our time now to end. I just wanted to thank each and every speaker for taking time to enlighten us about Sasol's atrocities in South Africa and in Mozambique. And please, I urge you to email Diane your questions that you have for us to ask at the AGM. You have to email them to him by, I would say, Thursday latest. Diane, is that fine?
Mm-hmm.
I think Thursday latest to Diane, and we can have those questions consolidated.
That's perfect. Thanks, Sherelee.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for attending and for taking time, and let us continue to fight the good fight. Thank you, everyone.